The great chamber of the Galactic Council was filled with light and shadow. Thousands of alien leaders sat in their tall seats, their eyes glowing in different colors. The walls of the chamber stretched high like a mountain, made of shining crystal and steel. It was the heart of power in the galaxy, the place where decisions of life and death were made. Today, that power was turned against a single man. In the center of the hall stood a human envoy. His hands were locked in metal chains, his face marked with dust and wounds. He had come from Earth to speak of peace, but peace had been refused. The Council had already judged him guilty. The aliens said Earth was stubborn, defiant, and dangerous. They called humanity a small world that did not know its place. Now they wanted to make an example. The envoy looked up at the towering figures around him. Some were covered in scales, others had wings, some had faces hidden behind masks of gold. Together they looked down on him like gods over a prisoner. Yet the human did not lower his head. His voice was calm when he spoke. "You think this will break us. You think that by killing me you can frighten Earth. But you do not understand, my people. Humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not forget." His words echoed in the chamber. A silence followed, heavy and sharp, before a ripple of laughter moved through the alien seats. A tall counselor with glowing eyes rose from his throne. "Your species is weak. Your planet is nothing but dirt. Today, you will burn, and your death will be a warning to all who resist." The human did not move. His lips curled in the faintest smile. "Then you have made a mistake. Because when you burn me, you will awaken something far greater than you can imagine." The counselors gave the order. Guards dragged the envoy to the center of the hall where a tall iron platform stood. Strange blue fire burned within it, flames that could tear both body and soul. The crowd of aliens leaned forward, waiting to see Earth's last hope destroyed. The human was chained to the platform. The fire rose around him, blue light shining on his face. Still, he did not scream. His eyes were fixed on the council. Even as the heat ate at his skin, even as his breath broke into gasps, he spoke again, his voice strong enough to reach every corner of the chamber. "Remember this moment," he said. "Remember my words. You think this is the end. It is not. You have not killed one man. You have declared war on all of humanity." His last cry shook the hall before the flames consumed him. For a moment, silence ruled. The smell of smoke hung heavy. The council expected to feel satisfaction, but unease crept among them. The human's words lingered like a curse. Some of the younger aliens shifted uncomfortably. They had seen courage before, but not like this. The envoy had not begged, had not pleaded, had not wept. He had defied them until his last breath. The leader of the council stood and raised his hand. "It is done," he said. "Earth will now know its place." But far away, beyond the council's shining walls, messages of the envoy's death were already spreading. Traitors, spies, and diplomats carried the news through star lanes and hidden routes. The story of a man burned alive by the council would not stay silent. And on a small blue planet called Earth, people would soon see the final moments of their envoy. They would see his chains, his fire, and his last words. When they did, they would not bow their heads in fear. They would lift their fists in fury. The chamber of the council returned to its usual cold order, but something had already changed. The fire they lit that day would not end with one man. It would spread across the stars. And the council, in their pride, had no idea what storm they had just unleashed. Far across the endless dark of space, beyond the shining capital of the council, beyond the proud thrones of alien rulers, lay a small blue planet called Earth. It spun quietly in the Black Sea, wrapped in clouds, bright with oceans and land. The people of Earth went about their lives, unaware that in the heart of the galaxy, their envoy had been chained, judged, and burned alive. But silence could not hide the crime. The galaxy carried whispers faster than light. Traitors who crossed the stars, spies who listened in secret halls, and machines that fed on endless streams of data. All of them carried the story. Soon, it reached human ears. In a great chamber deep under the city of Geneva, leaders of Earth gathered. Screens lit the walls, and every face was heavy with anger. They watched as the image of the envoy appeared before them. They saw his chains. They saw the fire rise. They heard his last words, his voice clear and strong. You have not killed one man. You have declared war on all of humanity. The room was silent. No one moved. No one breathed. The envoy had been sent to speak of peace, to find a way for Earth to stand among the stars without war. Instead, the council had turned his mission into a death sentence. A general at the table clenched his fists. His voice broke the silence. They burned him alive, he said, his tone shaking with fury. They burned our envoy before the eyes of the galaxy. Another leader, an old man with gray hair, leaned forward. They wanted to break us. They wanted to show the galaxy that humanity is weak. But all they have done is show us what they truly are. The words spread through the chamber like fire. Men and women rose to their feet. Some shouted in rage, others stood in silent grief. But there was no despair in their eyes. There was only anger, and beneath that anger, something far more dangerous, resolve. The general turned to the screens. For too long we have tried to earn their respect. We begged for recognition. We signed their laws. We followed their rules. And still, they looked at us as insects. He slammed his hand against the table. No more. If it is war they want, then we will give them war. Across Earth, the same anger burned. When the video of the envoy's last words was shown to the public, the people did not weep in silence. Crowds filled the streets of cities, holding banners with the envoy's face, chanting his words. Factories roared with life. Soldiers lined up in barracks. Scientists locked themselves in labs, working through nights without sleep. Every man and woman felt the same wound, the same rage. They had burned one human alive, but in doing so, they had awakened billions. In the sky above, shipyards lit the night. Massive frames of warships hung in orbit, unfinished giants waiting for their day. Now, workers swarmed them like ants, welding, building, shaping steel into weapons. Earth's armies trained harder than ever before. On the seas, submarines carried missiles. In the deserts, cannons were tested. In the mountains, hidden bases came alive with light. Humanity was not preparing to defend. Humanity was preparing to strike. In the Council of Earth, a woman in uniform stood. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned. We are not fighting only for revenge, she said. We are fighting for survival. If we bow now, if we show weakness, then Earth will never rise. Every alien will look at us as prey. But if we stand, if we fight, then the galaxy will learn to fear the name of humanity. Her words were met with silence, and then with a storm of voices agreeing. Plans were made. Armies were called. Fleets were ordered to gather. The envoy's death had been meant to break Earth's spirit. Instead, it became the spark that united the planet like never before. In hidden rooms, whispers began about weapons the world had kept secret. Old projects buried in shadows. Machines of war so powerful they had been locked away for fear of destroying Earth itself. Now, those secrets would return. The leaders spoke with hard voices. We do not seek peace anymore. Not with them. They will learn. They will all learn. Outside, under the stars, a single message was sent from Earth, carried by deep space transmitters, strong enough for every world to hear. The message was short, but it carried the fury of an entire species. You burned our envoy. You thought Earth would break. But humanity does not break. We are coming. And so the silence of space trembled as Earth began to rise. Factories thundered. Shipyards blazed. Armies stood ready. The wrath of humanity had been awakened, and nothing in the galaxy could stop it now. The silence of the solar system was broken by the roar of engines. One by one, the first human fleets rose from Earth, climbing past the moon, past Mars, and into the dark between stars. Ships of steel and fire filled the black sky, each carrying the anger of billions. The world had united, and now its children of war were leaving home. These ships were not like the sleek, shining vessels of the alien empires. They were rough, heavy, built from iron and willpower. Their hulls carried scars of old battles, their weapons bristled with cannons, railguns, and missiles that could shatter mountains. Where the Council's fleets were made for show, humanity's ships were made for survival. And survival had shaped them into weapons of destruction. In the chamber of the Galactic Council, laughter echoed when the first reports arrived. Earth has launched their primitive fleet, one counselor sneered. Metal coffins with fire strapped to their backs. They will break apart before they even reach us. The hall filled with cruel voices, but in the corner, a few remained silent. They remembered the Envoy's eyes, his last words, and a shadow of fear touched them. Out in the black, two fleets met for the first time. Alien warships glittered like jewels, their shields glowing, their weapons shining with plasma. They moved with grace, confident, certain of victory. The humans came forward in silence, their ships slow and heavy, their hulls black against the stars. The council commander gave the order, and beams of light shot across the void. Explosions flared, tearing at the first human ships. But something was wrong. The human fleet did not break. Instead, it answered. Cannons roared, missiles screamed through space, and strange new weapons, unseen before in the galaxy, unleashed their fury. The aliens laughed at the missiles at first, thinking them crude. But their laughter ended when the first missile struck. A shield flickered, then collapsed. A warship burst apart in fire and silence. Another missile, another railgun strike, another ship gone. Panic rippled through the alien fleet. Their plasma beams could burn, but human armor held longer than expected. And human weapons tore through their defenses like knives through paper. The council commander shouted for retreat, but it was too late. The humans pressed forward, their ships moving like wolves in the dark, hunting with relentless precision. One by one, the alien ships fell. The stars lit with fire. On Earth, the battle was broadcast to every screen. Men, women, and children watched as the first great clash of their kind shook the galaxy. When the first alien fleet exploded in defeat, Earth erupted in cheers, in tears, in rage and triumph. They had been told they were weak. They had been treated as less than nothing. But now the galaxy saw the truth. Humanity could fight, and humanity could win. Survivors of the alien fleet fled back toward the Council's worlds. Their voices carried fear. The humans are not what we thought. Their weapons cut through us. Their fury is endless. They are coming. In the council chamber, the laughter was gone. Faces were pale, wings trembled, scales twitched in unease. The news spread faster than fire. Earth's so-called primitive fleet had crushed a force that was supposed to be unstoppable. The council had underestimated humanity, and now the galaxy whispered in fear. Yet this was only the beginning. For every fleet the council could build, Earth had already planned more. Factories worked without rest, building weapons faster than the galaxy thought possible. The humans had a saying, war was in their blood. And now the blood of their envoy cried out for vengeance. On the bridge of the lead human ship, a commander stood tall. His eyes were cold, his voice steady. This is only the first step, he told his crew. They thought killing one of us would make us bow. Instead, it made us rise. We will not stop until every council world remembers what they did. Until they understand that humanity bows to no one. His words carried across the fleet, filling every soldier, every pilot, with fire. The humans knew fear, but in their hearts, fear only became strength. And so, with the wreckage of alien ships burning behind them, the human fleet turned its eyes deeper into the stars. The council thought it had taught Earth a lesson. Instead, Earth had written the first line of a new story, a story written in fire, steel, and blood. Humanity had struck back, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The halls of the Galactic Council trembled with whispers. The news of defeat spread faster than light, crossing every star lane, carried on every tongue. The mighty fleet that was sent to crush humanity had returned in ruins, broken ships drifting in the void, survivors whispering of terrible weapons and unshakable resolve. The council chamber, once filled with pride and arrogance, now echoed with fear. The rulers of 1,000 worlds gathered, their faces pale, their voices sharp and filled with anger. Some shouted that humanity must be destroyed at once, before their power grew. Others spoke of surrender and peace, their voices trembling as they remembered the envoy's last words. The chamber became a storm of noise. A counselor with skin like iron rose to speak, his booming voice cutting through the chaos. "This is impossible. No young race should hold such strength. No world so small should crush our fleets. Unless they have been hiding their true power all along." Murmurs spread like a shadow. Hiding power? The idea unsettled them. For years, humans had been treated as a minor species, barely worthy of notice. They were watched, mocked, and dismissed. But what if Earth had never shown its true face? What if the envoy's words were not only a warning, but a truth the galaxy refused to believe? Another counselor, tall and robed in silver, shouted in reply. "If we do not act now, it will be too late. Look at them. Already they march through the stars. Already their people chant for war. If we wait, they will rise beyond control. Humanity must be destroyed completely, before they become unstoppable." But not all agreed. A soft voice spoke from the shadows of the chamber. It came from a counselor old in years, her wings folded tight against her back. "We have seen their fire. We have seen their courage. You call them weak, yet one man defied us to his last breath. You call them primitive, yet their weapons pierce our shields. Perhaps it is we who are blind. Perhaps the humans are not to be destroyed, but to be feared." Her words spread unease through the room. The counselors shifted, claws scraping against the crystal floors, tails lashing, eyes darting. Fear was a poison that touched them all. The galaxy had always looked to the council for strength, for control, but now cracks were forming. Outside the chamber, entire empires began to whisper of the humans. Traders told tales of ships of steel that did not break, of missiles that turned mighty cruisers into ash, of voices that spoke with fire and would not bend. On distant worlds, alien rulers began to ask themselves a dangerous question. If the council could not defeat Earth, then perhaps the council was no longer worthy to rule. Panic spread. Fleets were recalled, armies were gathered, worlds armed themselves in haste. But humanity did not slow. One by one, human fleets struck deeper into space, targeting outposts, destroying stations, and leaving burning wreckage behind. Every victory sent new waves of fear back to the council. And every defeat made the council weaker. In secret meetings, alliances began to fracture. Some worlds begged for peace with humanity, hoping to save themselves from the storm. Others demanded the extermination of Earth at any cost, even if it meant burning entire systems to ash. The chamber of the council grew darker with each meeting, the great crystal walls no longer a symbol of power, but of weakness. The envoy's last words haunted them all. "You have not killed one man. You have declared war on all of humanity." The truth of those words echoed louder with every human victory. Fear spread beyond the council and into the hearts of their soldiers. Pilots refused to fight. Commanders hesitated to lead. They had seen human weapons pierce their strongest armor, had heard the cries of their brothers as human missiles found them in the dark. No training could silence the memory of fleets burning in silence, with humans pressing forward without mercy. In the highest tower of the council capital, the supreme speaker stood alone. His eyes looked out over the shining city, but his heart was heavy. For the first time in his rule, he felt fear. The humans were coming, and no wall of words, no fleet of ships, no power of law seemed strong enough to stop them. He whispered to himself, a whisper lost in the vastness of the hall. "Perhaps we have awoken something we cannot control." Far away, across the black sea of stars, the human fleets moved like a rising storm. Each victory brought them closer. Each battle fed their fury. The council thought they ruled the galaxy, but now the galaxy watched as their thrones began to shake. The age of alien rule was ending, and fear spread like fire in dry grass. Humanity was no longer just a whisper in the dark. Humanity was the storm, and the storm was coming. The galaxy whispered of Earth's rising fury, but even then, few understood the depth of humanity's strength. The fleets that had already destroyed council warships were not the peak of human power. They were only the beginning. On Earth, deep under mountains, inside deserts, and beneath oceans, doors long sealed began to open. Old machines, buried in silence since ancient wars, awoke again. Humanity had always feared itself, for long before they reached the stars, humans had built weapons capable of ending their own world. For decades, those weapons were hidden, locked away, forbidden by treaties and buried by shame. But the death of the Envoy had burned away shame. Now the world dug into its darkest vaults, unearthing secrets the galaxy had never seen. In vast chambers, scientists stood before weapons once thought impossible. Cannons that could strike across planets. Missiles that carried suns in their hearts. Energy beams that could tear through mountains. All were awakened and redesigned for war in the stars. Engineers worked without rest, their hands trembling not with fear but with determination. Soldiers trained to carry machines that once only lived in nightmares. Generals spoke in low voices of projects whispered in shadows, weapons too dangerous even for Earth. Yet now, they were humanity's answer. They wanted to burn us alive, one general said. Now we will show them what fire truly means. The first test came when a council fleet approached a border colony. The aliens believed they were striking an easy target. Their ships entered orbit, confident that humanity's defenses would fall as they had once fallen to alien power. But they did not expect what waited for them. From the ground rose a weapon no alien had ever seen. A massive cannon, hidden deep within the planet, powered by forces the council barely understood. When it fired, the stars themselves seemed to shake. A beam of light tore through the black, striking a council cruiser. Shields shattered like glass. The ship exploded in silence, a burning flower in the void. Panic followed. More beams fired, more ships burned. The council fleet scattered, their commanders screaming for retreat. But humanity was not done. From orbit, human warships released weapons that glowed with deadly light. Missiles faster than thought, tipped with warheads that carried destruction enough to level cities. They struck with merciless precision, breaking the alien fleet into fragments. Survivors fled once again, whispering in terror of what they had seen. "They have weapons that pierce the heavens," one captain cried. "They wield fire like gods. No shield can stand, no ship can hold." When the reports reached the council, silence filled their chamber. For the first time, the rulers of the galaxy looked into the mirror of their fear. Humanity had not only matched them, humanity had surpassed them. Rumors spread that Earth's weapons came from their endless wars against themselves. The galaxy learned of human history, of battles fought across continents, of wars that left cities burning and skies blackened. Aliens shuddered when they realized the truth. Humanity had survived its own destruction. Any species that could live through such fire would be unstoppable against outsiders. On Earth, leaders spoke not of fear, but of destiny. Factories thundered, building more weapons. Fleets grew larger, stronger, deadlier. And the people did not falter. Every man, woman, and child carried the memory of the Envoy's death, and that memory became fuel for war. "We are not fighting for conquest," one leader declared. "We are fighting for respect. They thought us weak. They thought us prey. Now we will remind them that humanity is a predator, and predators bow to no one." The galaxy trembled as the stories spread. Entire alien worlds began to surrender before the humans even arrived, sending messages of loyalty, begging for mercy. But Earth did not slow. The Envoy's words were carved into their hearts. Humanity does not forgive, humanity does not forget. Each battle revealed more of their hidden arsenal, and with each weapon unleashed, fear spread wider. Some in the council began to whisper of fleeing to the edges of the galaxy, leaving the humans to rule the center. Others demanded desperate measures, even the destruction of entire stars, to stop Earth's rise. But deep inside, they all knew the truth. They had awakened a force they could not contain. Humanity's hidden power was no longer hidden. It was awake, alive, and unstoppable. The Envoy had burned in fire, but from that fire rose a storm brighter than any the galaxy had ever seen. And the storm was only beginning to rage. The skies above the Council capital once shone with pride, filled with banners of every great empire, fleets of glittering ships standing guard over the city of crystal towers. But now those skies burned. The human fleets had arrived, black ships of steel cutting through the void with merciless fire. The Council had gathered every last warship, every last soldier, to defend their throne. They had promised their people that the humans would be stopped here, that the galaxy would see the Council's strength once more. But promises did not stop missiles. Shields cracked. Cruisers fell. Towers that had stood for centuries shook under the thunder of war. From orbit, Earth's weapons struck with precision, tearing through defenses that once seemed unbreakable. The proud fleets of the Council scattered like frightened birds. The capital, heart of the galaxy's rule, was crumbling under the storm of humanity's wrath. Inside the great chamber, the Council sat in chaos. The mighty leaders who once judged the Envoy now shouted in terror. Some demanded retreat. Others screamed for surrender. Their voices filled the air with panic. The Supreme Speaker, trembling, tried to call for order. "We are the Council," he cried, his voice breaking. "We cannot fall to a single world. We must fight, fight until the last breath." But even as he spoke, the walls shook with the shock of explosions. Dust fell from the crystal ceiling. The councillors knew the truth. The humans were already here. In the streets below, soldiers fought desperately. Alien defenders poured fire into the sky, but human dropships broke through, landing wave after wave of armored troops. The sound of battle filled the city, a storm of screams and gunfire, metal against stone, fury against fear. Humanity fought with a cold fire, each soldier carrying the memory of the Envoy, each step driven by the need for justice. The defenders fought bravely, but their courage broke when they saw the humans did not stop, did not slow, did not yield. In every street, humans pressed forward, relentless, unshakable. Soon, the towers of the Council fell one by one. The banners of empires were torn down, burned in the flames of battle. The crystal walls cracked, and the great city bled with smoke. At last, the humans reached the Council chamber itself. The grand doors, once symbols of power, were torn open with thunder. Human soldiers stepped inside, their armor scarred, their weapons ready. The councillors froze in terror. The same chamber where the Envoy had been chained, judged, and burned was now filled with the very people they had sought to destroy. The leader of the human forces stepped forward, his voice echoing through the hall. "You showed no mercy to our Envoy," he said. "You thought his death would break us. But it did not. His fire became our fire. His pain became our strength. And now, you will face what you created." The Supreme Speaker fell to his knees, his proud voice gone, replaced by fear. "Spare us," he begged. "We will give you anything. Power, wealth, worlds. Only spare us." The commander's face was like stone. "Did our Envoy beg when you chained him? Did he kneel when you lit the fire? No. He stood. He defied you. And now we honor him, not with words, but with action." At his signal, the soldiers moved. Flames roared as explosives tore through the chamber. The Council, once the ruling voice of the galaxy, was drowned in fire. Their screams echoed in the same hall where they once laughed at humanity. The galaxy outside watched in silence, every world, every empire, seeing the end of an age. The Council, thought to be eternal, had fallen. The Crystal City lay in ruins, its towers broken, its rulers gone. Above, the human fleets filled the sky, their black hulls shining in the light of burning worlds. Across the stars, alien races bowed their heads, not in mourning, but in fear. For they knew the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had risen, and nothing could stand against them. The envoy had died in fire, but his people had returned with fire greater than any empire could imagine. The fall of the council was not just the end of one rule. It was the beginning of another. The humans had not only avenged their envoy. They had claimed the stars. The council was gone. Their city of crystal lay in ruins, their fleets shattered, their voices silenced forever. Where once the galaxy looked to them for guidance, now there was only smoke and silence. But in that silence, a new voice rose. It was the voice of humanity. Across the stars, humans stood tall in the wreckage of the old order. Their ships filled the void, their banners of steel replaced the banners of crystal. Every world in the galaxy watched and waited, asking the same question. What would humanity do now that the throne of the stars was empty? On Earth, the leaders gathered once more. The death of the envoy had started this war, but now victory was theirs. Still, the question hung heavy in the air. Would humanity rule with the same cruelty as the council? Or would they build something new? The human commander who had led the fleets stood before the assembly. His voice was steady, his eyes hard. "We did not begin this war," he said. "We did not seek conquest. But when they burned our envoy, they left us no choice. Now the galaxy sees what it means to awaken humanity's wrath. We will not be slaves. We will not be prey. We will stand as rulers, not because we wanted it, but because they forced us to rise." His words carried across the world, broadcast to every city, every soldier, every worker. The people listened, their hearts burning with pride. They had suffered, but they had endured. They had been mocked, but now they were feared. The envoy's death had not broken them. It had united them. And now, his memory guided every step. In the far corners of the galaxy, alien rulers sent messages to Earth. Some begged for peace, offering their loyalty. Others swore alliance, fearing what would happen if they resisted. Even those who still hated humans kept their words soft, for they had seen what happened to those who stood against Earth. The galaxy was no longer ruled by fear of the council. It was ruled by fear of humanity. But humanity did not answer every plea with fire. In many places, they spared the weak, demanding only respect and obedience. They did not burn every world, for their goal was not endless destruction. Their goal was order, an order where no one would dare harm a human again. The envoy's face became a symbol. His last words were carved on monuments across Earth and beyond. "You have not killed one man. You have declared war on all of humanity." Children learned his story. Soldiers carried his image into battle. He became more than a man. He became the spark that lit humanity's rise. In the ruins of the council chamber, a new banner was raised. The banner of Earth. Not silk, not gold, but steel, marked with the scars of war. It was not meant to shine with beauty, but to remind the galaxy of strength. The new order had no room for arrogance, no room for cruelty. Humanity had suffered under those things, and they would not repeat them. But humanity would not forgive either. Any who threatened Earth would be crushed without mercy. That was the new law of the stars. Across the galaxy, whispers grew. Some said humanity would become tyrants, worse than the council. Others said humanity would be guardians, a shield against the chaos. No one knew the truth, not even the humans themselves. What they knew was only this: humanity was now the center of power, and the galaxy would never return to the way it was. In the quiet of space, a single statue was built on Earth, standing tall in the capital city. It was the envoy, his head held high, his chains still on his arms, his face calm before death. At the base of the statue were words carved for all time: "If you harm one human, you face us all." Every visitor who saw it felt the weight of those words. It was not just a warning. It was a promise. The galaxy had learned the cost of ignoring that promise. The council had thought they could burn one man and frighten a world. Instead, they had awakened a force that shook the stars. Now, under the banner of Earth, the galaxy entered a new age. The age of humanity. And in the endless night, among the burning ruins of old empires, one truth remained clear. Humanity had risen, and nothing would ever bring them down again.